I'm Paul Dutton with the Emergency Preparedness Network. All right, we want to talk to you today about utilities and utility shutoffs. Remember, you always want to search for turning off your gas first, then check your electrical panel. You always want to make sure that's off, and we're going to go into all that in good detail. All right, and then the last thing you always want to do is check your water and turn that off, because after a major disaster, the dirty water pipes in the streets can now infiltrate into your house. So we're going to cover all that today under utilities. Stay tuned. All right, we got lots more coming for you. All right, so we're doing a 360 inspection around the outside of the house for gas, and we came upon our electrical panel. If it's sparking, yeah, we definitely want to turn the main off. All right, so again, we're going to need those personal protection equipment, little thing called gloves. Especially if I'm worried about sparking or arcing, this is a good insulator. So I'm going to take my panel off. This one's pretty easy. We just pull it up, right? It should lift like this. My hinges are broken, so it comes off like a lot of people's does. Right, we put it down. Now, first thing we're looking for is the main breaker. Usually, the main breaker is almost always at the top, right? And then the higher amperage is always on the top, and it goes down. Like mine go from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20 to 30. 50 to 40 to 30 to 20, 15s, and the 10s. That's usually the way it does. The older models, the older panels are like that. So what's the first one I'm going to click off? I'm going to use my gloves and I'm going to click the main one off. A lot of times it's a bigger button or a bigger lever that you can click off, but it's always at the top if it's not there that you can't readily recognize. So there, I'm going to flip that one and I'm going to flip it that way. And that will flip it off. That's my main breaker. Then I'm going to flip each one of these individually off. Turn them all off. So that way I don't have any problems with electrical panel or sparking or arcing or any problems with electricity inside. It's all off. Now I've turned that off now because I'm worried about that gas leak possibly, right? Hey, because I can always turn this back on. Right? If we're assured that we don't have gas leaks or anything else and we know that everything has been checked, right, that's safe. So again, the main breaker goes off first, then each one individually goes off next, one at a time. Now the whole panel is off. Now the power finally gets back on 2 weeks later or 5 weeks later or 10 months later, whatever it is with this disaster, right? Energized, the lines are now energized. I'll turn the main breaker back on, and now I'll individually turn these back on one at a time. Much safer that way. Okay? You don't want these all open and you turn the main breaker on and it energizes the whole house at one time. So, reiterate, we're going to turn the main one off, turn all the rest of them off individually. After the disaster, when we're safe to go back and turn the power back on. Now they're all off. I'll turn the main breaker back on and then I'll individually turn these on one at a time. That's the safe way to do that for your electrical panel. Okay? And that's what I would do if I had a major disaster and I was worried about electrical down power lines anywhere else or maybe arcing or sparking anywhere in my house. I'm going to shut this off and turn it off altogether. Now I'm safe. And I do it with gloves. Right? Especially, what if it's a rainy night? Okay, now you're standing in water. Okay, so you got to be very careful and think about these kind of things. All right, so I think that's it for our electrical. So now we have our gas off, we have our electrical off, and then the last thing you turn off is the water. Now you have all your utilities turned off properly and safely. So now you're ready. Okay, you're ready for after the disaster. But are you ready to be on your own without gas, without power, or without clean water for the next 30 days? All right, now we're at the water. The water is our third thing we're going to turn off. Gas is first, then electric, then water. Now, why do I want to turn the water off? Well, the reason I want to turn the water off in a major disaster, because we may have broken water pipelines elsewhere in the neighborhood, or on the streets and all that. So I don't want the water inside my house and the pipes inside my water to be contaminated by the outside street pipe water. So I'm going to turn this off, because water I can turn back on really easily. Gas I cannot. When we do the electrical panel, we'll tell you, say, hey, yes, you can turn that back on, but there are safe ways, and we'll show you that. So on the water, this is what you're looking for. It says right there, water meter on the front. It's almost always right at the top of your property, at the front of your property where it meets the street. Now, what do I need to do? Well, I got to get my gloves on. We don't know what kind of critters and spiders might be waiting for me. And you're going to need two tools. We're going to need a screwdriver, and we're going to need a water turnoff valve. That's this guy right here. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Has that special end. You can get this at the hardware store. Right? Not sure how much they cost, but those are what I want to get. So now I want to turn this water off. Well, I gotta open this up. Put my screwdriver there like that. Put my screwdriver in here like this. Okay, and I can slide this. Put this over here. Now I can get to my valve. Right? So when I get to my valve, I may have to dig it out. I had to dig mine out. You might see the dirt laying around here because a lot of times it just gets filled up. So once you find the valve, and we'll show you that in a minute, you're simply going to turn it righty-tighty, so to the right, we'll turn it off. Lefty-loosey. Okay, and then we can turn that water off and turn that valve off so that way you don't get contaminated water from the street coming into your house and the water in your house and your pipes. That's what we're doing. So that's really important. And the water we can always turn back on easily when we know that we have fresh water. Now they had this problem in Texas. Told everybody to turn the water off. Yeah, but then all their pipes froze. Everybody's pipes froze in the street and in their houses. So now you can always go and turn that valve off. So you don't get it. So always a problem, right, when pipes freeze. Because a lot of people then turn the water back on and then they realize their pipes had broke or sprung a leak, right, or cracked. And so a lot of people are running to the hardware store, right, to repair their pipes so they can get fresh water flowing back in again. So really a big issue. Not so much here in California, but certainly in other places, and it gets a lot colder. Yeah, you want to be worried about that. So turning that water off, the valve is right here. We're going to show you that in a second, right? Turn it to the right to turn it off. We can always turn the water back on. And after a major disaster, you turn the water back on. You want to run it through your faucets and all your pipes, showers, faucets, sinks, all that. So you make sure that water doesn't get contaminated, right? Make sure that water comes out running clean. Okay, so really important. All right, let me show you where this valve is. So the valve is right down here, right? So I had to dig it out to get all the dirt out of it. You can see the little valve right here. We're actually going to turn this valve this way. Luckily, it was pretty easy to move, probably because I had a new valve installed. But a lot of times you'll need your tool, right? So we can turn that to the right and turn the actual water off all the way against the grain. I'm going to turn it back on now, so water in we don't get any extra air or anything in the pipes. Okay, so there's your valve. That's what you want. Here, see, now this has actually got a new meter on this by the water district that you put on the valve now. So, right, to regulate it better. So that's what you're looking for. But I had to dig that out. Couldn't even find it. You'll see the extra dirt around here, so you may have to dig. It's always between the street and your house. So you find that the big meter, the valve should be on this side. I'm Paul Dutton with the Emergency Preparedness Network. Come on back. We're going to give you a lot more to keep you safe. All right? For you and your family.